Your home with BuildAid on Mix 93.8. Proudly brought to you by AfriSam. AfriSam, creating concrete possibilities.
BuildAid on Mix 93.8 FM. Good evening. My name is Graham Alexander. Chaos in the studio, but between all of that, Simon Cretney on the desk, Kay looking after all of us, and our videographer in the background here looking after the movies. My special guest this evening, Marella O'Reilly. Marella is the CEO and Registrar of SACAP. Kay, what else is happening?
Well, we're talking about architecture tonight, so I've got a song in mind, and I'm pretty sure everyone's going to get this clue. Although I must say I stumped Elle earlier, just for a few seconds. So the title has the word house in it, and here's your clue, two clues. It's a house at dawn, and the band who performs this song can either be wild or domesticated. You've got to get it. It's very easy. Even you're smiling. You must have got it.
I don't often get Kay's little quizzes. Cryptic I'm too doof.
Seriously easy. So if you know the answer, send us an SMS on 41348.
Marella O'Reilly, welcome. Thanks for coming to chat to us.
Thank you, Graham. Lovely to be here, and good evening to the listeners once again.
It's always great chatting to you, Marella. You're the past CEO of the Medical Dental Council?
Yes, I was for a while.
How do doctors compare to architects?
Oh, thousands. I don't think it's a good comparison there. But if you look at the whole built environment profession, meaning all of us 6 councils, then it's another story. We'll give them a good run for their money then.
Marella, SACAP, the South African Council for the Architectural Profession. Just to set a backdrop of tonight's discussion, we're going to be talking about all sorts of interesting things, but what is the role of SACAP?
The South African Council for the Architectural Profession is the regulatory body which is enacted by the Act of 2000. This gives SACAP as a regulatory body the role in terms of regulating the architectural profession. When we say regulating, it sounds like a big harsh word, but in fact it means that we guide the profession in terms of the way in which the profession must be undertaken and the professionals within it, and one of our major mandates is to protect the public in terms of the architectural profession and the way in which it's undertaken.
Members of SACAP are architectural professionals that are made up, I believe, of 4 different categories. What are those categories?
Yes, Graham. We have 4 distinct categories. They are all called professionals in the first place, and being under a regulatory body entitles them to call themselves professionals. That is the first thing. We have professional architectural draftspersons, professional architectural technologists, professional architectural senior technologists, and professional architects, which we call PR arcs quite fondly.
A code of conduct obviously runs through the core of SACAP and its members, because one has to subscribe to some kind of conduct. Is it complicated? Is it easy to understand, particularly from a consumer point of view?
Firstly, the code of conduct governs all the professionals under the ambit of the Architectural Professions Act. From a consumer perspective, I don't believe it would be difficult to understand. Suffice to say that the most important aspect is for the consumer out there to always know that you must use a registered professional architectural person to undertake any work that you want done. In terms of the code of conduct, it is on our website. It's not difficult to engage with. However, if you are hiring a registered professional, they would be undertaking their work fully aware that they are working under the code of conduct.
So there's only one true source, if I could put it that way, when it comes to what an architectural professional can and can't do. They can't invent their own rules.
Well, because they are registered with SACAP, they also, the qualifications are also registered, meaning that they would have attended a architectural learning site which has been validated through the mandate of SACAP. That's where we actually would like to start the process. So in terms of them inventing their own rules, they're pretty much governed by the competencies that are covered under the validation of the courses under which they studied in the first place. And in the second place, they would have all have undertaken what we call a PPE examination, which is called a professional practice examination. Therein lies the key to their professionalism. They would have passed that examination to get onto the register, and therefore they would not be just wild cards.
Yeah. I think
acting out there.
Where my question came from, and I should have given you the background, is just recently talking to a homeowner that was out talking to architects about their new home, and one of the architectural professionals, and I don't even know if the person's registered, we're talking about things that architects don't do, like engineering and so on. And I gave him advice to check out if this person's registered in the first place. And the code of conduct is your backdrop to whether these people can or can't do that. Marella, when we come back, I just want to talk about these 3 or 4 categories of professional and what they can and can't do within the built environment. I'm chatting to Marella O'Reilly from SACAP. She's the CEO of SACAP and the Registrar. Sounds like you do a lot of stuff out there, Marella. Just back to the 4 categories of membership. Is it membership or registration?
It's formal registration, Graham. And the 4 categories that we register, as I said, it's a professional architectural draftsperson, professional architectural senior architectural
Senior architectural technologist. See, I remember.
Architectural technologist and a PR arc. Remember, Graham, that registered professionals must be used to undertake work and all work within the built environment. And anyone can go onto our website and check if this architectural professional is indeed registered and verify that they are registered and in good standing by going to check on our online directory, which I can give you the actual www.sacapsa.com/registration. There we have all of the architectural professionals that are registered and in good standing that the public can make use of.
If you forget that, SACAP, Google is a great tool. Just start typing SACAP and you'll probably pick it up before you even have to type it all out. When it comes to the back to this code of conduct or linked to the code of conduct, if an architect has transgressed the rules or regulations, it's probably difficult for SACAP to pick that up unless somebody informs you, that this architect's XYZ. How does one go about that without getting too complicated from a consumer point of view?
Yes, that is what our role is. As I indicated earlier, the public protection mandate is one of our largest mandates within SACAP. And we work in the way in which a member of the public can complain through to SACAP. We have a very formal complaints procedure, which is also on the website. Once the member of the public has complained, we then investigate that complaint very thoroughly. It goes through a rigorous process through our investigations committee, which sits and analyzes the complaint that the member of public has actually lodged with us. And that is what the regulatory role of a regulatory body is, to ensure that the registered persons are complying with the code of conduct. So to get a little more into the complaints process, an affidavit will be required from the complainant. This is then served to the investigating committee, which then has looked at all the facts placed by both sides, both the complainant and the architectural professional has an opportunity to state their side of the story as well. And if we are unable to resolve it at that stage, the matter will go through to a disciplinary tribunal.
Okay. It's always good to know that an organization like SACAP or a controlling council has got teeth. from a consumer's point of view. Marella, we have a question in from Anon Miss. As a professional engineer, your signature is legally liable. Is it the same for an architect?
Yes, of course, Graham, undoubtedly.
That was an easy answer from what
It
sounded
is.
like quite a difficult question. When it comes to building control officers, that's the correct term for people that are approving your plans within a municipality or a council. Just a bit of a backdrop to this, Marella, is I think for years a lot of these people, officers, have been offering services. I can do your drawings for your plans, submit them and so on. But SACAP and yourself have got to a point where you're trying to make sure this doesn't get out of hand.
Indeed, Graham. Graham, many of the personnel who work in municipalities under the title of a building control officer are indeed architectural professionals, and they are registered. However, we need to be very clear of what is conflict of interest in terms of the work environment where you derive your own personal benefit, and where does one stop and start in terms of the functionality of, can you draw your own plan and submit it to your own municipal division and pass it? Now, clearly, that it doesn't take rocket science to understand that that is not acceptable, and we are just cautioning members out there to ensure that they don't fall prey to being investigated for any breach of the code of conduct. Therefore, what we have put out a reminder to the BCOs out there that if you are indeed designing, drawing plans in your after hours time, which you might well be entitled to do, please ensure that you go to a different jurisdiction to ensure that the integrity of what you're doing is being maintained.
Back to the educational matters, Marella. You've launched the National Architectural Students' Council. Just a brief overview of this council.
Very exciting. This is a nationally represented student council made up of all of representatives of the architectural learners within all of our 11 institutions that are validated through us to start having a voice in terms of the architectural education that they will be under. And this is going to be a very, very exciting framework. As I've said earlier, in terms of the fees must fall, we're having an expectation of this National Student Council to be the voice of the architectural students in terms of the way in which the curricula should look and the way in which we start educating architectural professionals for the future. So now they will have a specific voice within the field that they are qualifying under. We're very excited. We've appointed an interim chairperson for this process, and we look forward to next year with the newcomers having a very clear voice in terms of the way in which they will be represented in the architectural profession.
Very, very positive stuff. Okay, so put us out of our misery.
The House of the Rising Sun by the Animals. A couple of you said the monkeys, but you got the
And
acronym.
please watch the
correct.
YouTube video. You can't believe there's like a bunch of kids and this voice and big song comes out of it. It's brilliant.
It's amazing. And just a quick note, Jean-Claude, well done. You've won some ice cream. I'll get hold of you tomorrow.
No, don't forget to listen to me in a couple of minutes. And Graham, you're eating into my time, China.
The world's greatest show.
I'm watching the pain. Thanks to all the guys here. Kay, Ian, videographing the stuff, and Simon on the desk. But a special thanks to my guest, Marella O'Reilly. Thank you so much for chatting to us.
Thank you for allowing me to be here once again. It's always exciting. And I'm looking forward to my ice cream too. I wasn't promised yet, but I want some.
Oh yeah, SACAP's moving to Rivonia, so you're a lot closer, and we'll drop off a whole bunch of ice cream for you guys.
Thank you very much.
We do this every Wednesday between 6 and 7. Chat to you next week. Ciao.
Your home with BuildAid on Mix brings you all sorts of interesting info about building. Graham Alexander chats to different guests every Wednesday evening between 6 and 7. Proudly brought to you by AfriSam. AfriSam, creating concrete possibilities.